I don't want to be too off topic here, but last time we talked, there was like one sentence you said that made me think, and you said something to the effect of you become aware of the mind-body seeking, and then eventually there's kind of a separation from it.
Yeah.
And I'd like you to elaborate on that if possible.
Yeah, sure. So I don't know what exactly it is that happens, like physiologically, or if it is physiological, but there is this looking now, this spacious looking, experiencing, which is all encompassing. It's my voice, it's the computer, it's the earplugs, the room, the air, the bodily sensations, the emotions, everything that is being perceived, it's not separate from. So that consciousness is all things that are here, all things. And that consciousness is not a thing, it's nothing. So it's not found behind the eyes or behind the head or in an experience. It's not a thing, and it's all things. And it's what's always been. That's never not been. In deep sleep, you might think that it doesn't happen.
You're saying consciousness has always been? Is that what you...
What's your experience?
What is my experience as to whether consciousness has always been?
Yeah.
Well, as long as I've been here. But, I mean...
And then the question is what is that I? Does that I ever experience?
Does the I ever experience?
Yeah, so you say as long as I've been here, but that's an assumption that the I mean, I'm not sure what you refer to when you say I. Everyone has a different idea, interpretation.
I mean, I can't confirm or deny that consciousness has always been here because I haven't been around forever. So.
Yeah. But remember that forever is an idea.
Okay.
Like, so before you were born, so say if you're thinking before you're born or before you're 5 years old, like that is an idea. Even actually your past life, like your life when you were like 5, 10, 20, 30, all of that is an idea. Like if you come really directly back to this experience and don't use imagination, like all there is and ever's been is consciousness. But if you go into your memory, you can't have ever experienced, was no experiencing without consciousness. So if you go back into your memory, like when you were 5 years old, if you remember anything, like anything I remember from 5 is like these roses and I fell in a rose bush. And then I remember my gran sitting on a knee and her pulling out some rose thorns and like this, maybe the smell of her slightly, like that's my memory of 5. But when maybe that was a bit earlier actually in life, but when I go back to remember that, like one thing I'm sure about is there was consciousness, otherwise there would have been no experiencing of that. Like there can't be experiencing without consciousness. There has to be consciousness in order for there to be an experience, otherwise there would just be absolutely nothing.
Well, I guess now I've heard other people say this kind of thing, but like my response would be, who's to say there was always experiencing?
Like beyond you being a child, like beyond your lifetime.
Or yeah, beyond my lifetime. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe there's a time when nothing experienced anything.
Yeah, that's really interesting because that even begins to question consciousness, which is super beautiful. Because in deep sleep, like every night, everything disappears. We don't really know deep sleep. We know some form of dreaming, but we don't know deep sleep. We just know that there is an absence of time when we wake up. Like, we don't know what happens in deep sleep. There is just an absence of time, which kind of goes at the click of a fingers, and then there is waking up again. So what you're saying is, like, prior to you being born in this life, like this prior life, it might have been like deep sleep. But if it is like deep sleep, that can only be an instantaneous thing, because it's the same as deep sleep is only an instantaneous thing. Like, no time exists there, so it's instantaneous. So yeah, there could be periods of deep sleep, but then there's going to be experiencing again.
Okay. All right.
Like,
so,
I mean, it's down to, in our experience, like it comes to, I don't know, but one thing that I feel very confident about is that not existing doesn't exist. So it will never really happen. It can never happen. Like, because that's what we're a lot afraid of, is we're afraid of death and not existing. But you can't really not exist, because it doesn't exist.
Because the you doesn't exist?
Because
in the
yeah,
conventional form of the word?
No, not because of the you doesn't exist, because non-existence doesn't exist. That's so mind twisting. But we can't, like, if you thought about it, like, does not existence exist? So does, like, deep sleep exist? Does anything happen there?
Well, if you're referring to, like, in my experience, I couldn't tell you, but I would presume there are things happening, right?
Yeah.
In that question.
Yeah, to the body there's measurably, but in the experience of it, it doesn't exist. Yeah, but forget it. I mean, if that's maybe going a little bit abstract.
So if we get, I don't want to get too far off into the,
Oh, I
outer
love
space.
this. I love the outer space. It's fantastic.
You like outer space?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. So anyway, so you mentioned we were talking about the inherent nature of seeking in kind of the body mind unit, right?
Yeah.
And you said that it was just a sentence, and I want to make sure I'm saying it right, but you said that you become conscious of that, and then as time goes by, you kind of start to separate from it, and you're not as worked up.
Yeah. So
when
yeah,
that inherent seeking occurs, and because maybe because you're more conscious of it. And I guess my question is, is it important to be conscious of that inherent seeking in the mind body unit in order to transcend, for lack of a better word, that seeking, I guess. Yeah.
So in the world of the person, like, it's very difficult to say one shoe fits all, and that's what's important,
Right.
and that's what you have to do. Like, that's on the human level. That's what seemed to happen here, is becoming the person, so the Lisa character, or the thinking mind, becoming conscious of its games, and through becoming conscious of its games and listening to non-duality and immersing itself in this subject, the seeking diminished, and as the seeking diminished, the suffering diminished, and then true non-duality was heard. My theory is, but I can't guarantee this to be truth, because life is very complex and it will be impossible for me to know. But it seems that for a lot of people that happens. For myself, that's what happens. So there is a person that becomes aware of its own conundrum and what it's doing, and then through that it settles the person, ironically. The person becomes more and more balanced and more at ease with itself. And then as it becomes more at ease, it then can hear from a different place that's non-personal. Like it's when the person's really suffering, I feel like there is a lot of focus and attention going onto that person, and there's lots of seeking. So it's like the camera lens is really focused on the person, and as that person suffers less, it's like the camera lens zooms out more, and then there can be a hearing of something beyond the person. But there's other teachers that debunk that and, say that nothing needs to be done. And, Eckhart Tolle is a really famous one of, like, he just deeply, deeply suffered. Same with Byron Katie, like deeply suffered, and then something just shifted.
Well, that doesn't seem to be happening over here, but
yeah.
I think I'm more along the lines of what how you went through it.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that when you're in the person, as you were saying, or seeking, it tends to be seeking objects, for lack of a better word. If I can watch TV, I'll feel better. If I can, if only this person would call me with this news, and then. Occasionally, more recently, I'll be thinking, okay, why am I feeling this way? My wording is, why is my body seeking? And then it'll say, oh, it's because of this. It's obvious. And then it kind of goes away, and it's almost less personal.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, that's what used to happen to me. And then there was like a split that would happen. So it would be like things that I thought were unbearable, or things that I really wanted, like they would begin to happen, and I would be feeling this sense of peace either way. So if there was something like really uncomfortable that happened, there would be a sense of peace. Or if there was something that would be very pleasant, if that happened, there was the same sense of peace. So I began to experience like seeking and not seeking, and this underlying peace that was there beyond that. So and that has a profound effect on the seeking patterns. Like, so even though the seeking patterns in the you isn't a solid entity, it's like the machine begins to get reprogrammed. So then it begins to settle down. So next time something disastrous happens, there's not such strong suffering that arises, because it's known on a deeper level that ending that discomfort isn't it, or getting something else isn't it.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully I can continue that. I don't like the word path, but continue to gain more of that peace and awareness of the seeking of the body, as opposed to seeking comfort through objects in the world.
It extends to everything. People don't really realize how deep the seeking goes. Like it can extend to the way you eat, to the way you conceptualize things, to the way you masturbate or make love, to the way you interact with your children. It's so deep. The way you watch TV.
One thing I've noticed about that seeking, like you're talking about now, it tends to tell to you feel as if you only got that one thing, everything would be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a little prize, like only if my ex-girlfriend would only answer the phone, everything in my life would be okay.
Yeah, totally.
Or if that restaurant is open right now, I hope, because I really want to eat this one thing. Oh
Yeah.
man, that would,
Yeah.
but, and it tends to like have this really short attention span,
Yeah. Totally.
like a little prize.
Yeah. And it's so much to do. Maybe it's also genetic, but it is also a lot to do with the way we're brought up. Like when I was in India at this children's home one time, like they would, like there was this one time they had this party, and they were giving the kids gifts, and they didn't really, I think, get gifts very often, and they were so overwhelmed with excitement. And then the stories that came about that party was that, that was the everything, that excitement. And then you could see that in their brains they were beginning to interpret that excitement and that high is what I'm looking for. Like, and that happens at such a young age, with Christmas presents. Not that there's anything wrong with Christmas presents, but with getting new toys, with socializing, that high and that excitement is what you're looking for, rather than the peace, the underlying peace that's always there. So our mind gets so conditioned in this society onto excitement being it, and then also the avoidance of something uncomfortable. So the avoidance of bills, or doing paperwork. These are things I don't particularly like. But that is causing your suffering as well, and then it kind of creates law of attractions in your life, because your body moves towards the excitement and moves away from the things it doesn't like, which in some way has a natural flow to it, but often it's very extreme, and then it carves out your life in a particular way. That internal way of being makes your life, or it gets your life to reflect that way. And most people are still looking for excitement all the time. Excitement, excitement, excitement. Like it has to be something exciting. It has to be something bigger. It really doesn't have to be bigger.
Yeah. Have you ever heard I don't know, I heard somebody say, when you're in school, you just can't wait to graduate.
Yeah.
And then you can't wait to get a job, and then oh, I can't wait till I get married. I can't wait till I have kids. I can't wait till the kids are gone. What? Okay, once I retire, everything's gonna be great.
Yeah. On and on it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
and
like
the whole life is missed. Yeah.
Pride kind of thing, right? Like
and what it does, what that does, that mentality, is through time the person gets more and more squished. So by the time it's getting to retirement, it's not that the person's suffering. Most probably the suffering will be more, but it's also like the person will become more deadened than anything. So by the time it's getting to later in life, because it's always been trying to get out of experience, so therefore, like when you try to get out of experience, you push all the attention up into thinking and into the head. And so by the time you've done that for 50, 60 years, your body actually feels very dead. So your underlying feeling often is deadness. Like a...
And you're thinking that you're going to come back to life when the
retirement comes,
or
whatever, the pension, yeah. Yeah.
So anyhow, so basically you're saying that for you kind of became more aware of the seeking patterns, and that helped you to
totally.
You got a greater
totally.
peace.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good information.
Nice.
All right. Well, it was nice talking to you once again.
Yeah, lovely to speak to you, Birch. Have a lovely day there.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.